What's up, y'all? Super clean trade today. I'm gonna be going over exactly why I took this trade, how you could have caught this trade, and why this wasn't just a pattern trade like a lot of people are saying it was. I mean, I guess not a lot of people are saying it was, but seems it's seemingly a pattern trade. And if you don't know, pattern trading inverse fair value gaps is probably one of the stupidest things you can do. It is impossible to be consistently profitable long term just pattern trading, liquidity sweep, and inverse fair value gap. So let me get into exactly why I took this trade. Let's just go over exactly what we saw in the market all day today, right? Um, Ideally, that's what we do in these trade recaps. Going into the day, I was pretty bearish. News didn't really affect that too much because, like I said, if you guys don't know what efficient market hypothesis is, it basically theorizes that at all given moments, all current assets, all publicly traded assets currently reflect all publicly available information. So at any given moment, like right now, we have already priced in everything. It happened on the weekend, so we were able to price everything in during the weekend, right? But I was slightly bearish because we were kind of trading within like a range for a little while, and we'd kind of broken out that range to the downside towards previous day low right here, then this previous day low, and then this previous low as well. So going into the day was slightly bearish. I wanted to see. I don't know why I just exited out chart replay. I wanted to see shorts. I wanted to see us come up to like maybe this level. My targets that I marked out for the live stream were this level, and this level, the entry of the volume gap, basically fully filling the volume gap, tapping into Asia high, which resides in the volume gap, or just these highs right here. And then I wanted to catch a trade down to this low, previous day low, or all the way down to this low we had a few days ago, maybe a week ago or something. And yeah, the reason that I normally I wouldn't want to see a buy move this high, like this high or this high before taking a short. But the reason that I was looking for that, which I explained during my live stream, is that with war news, we create a lot more volatility. And so moves can be a lot bigger. So we can have a lot bigger swings. And this was, you don't really know. It's pretty unpredictable because this is our first New York session open since the war news. But anyways, without further ado, we go into the day, this tiny sweep, followed by no entry confluences. Like I wouldn't have looked long off of, even if we swept it this low and had an entry confluence, I wouldn't have looked long. I want to see first to move down to here, not even here, previous day low, because I was pretty bearish. I didn't want to see a long off of here. But yeah, we just rip out of open, which is that's what I wanted to see. Remember, we didn't have a reaction off of these levels, so I looked for us to tap into this high. And this is the first fake out we avoided. We tapped into it, I think here on, actually no, sorry, here we didn't tap into anything. This was the first fade I took. We technically swept to this, but like, what is this? This is nothing, right? That means literally nothing. We had this 2-minute inversion, which was also a 1-minute inversion. The reason it didn't play out, it was probably the worst trade I've ever seen. I really hope none of you took it. We were in it also. We were inside of a 3-minute. We were inside. We just created a 4-minute. We just created a 5-minute. Which the 5-minute was what my first trade idea was looking for. Is I wanted to see us tap into this high and take shorts down to that 5-minute fair value gap because we never tapped into it. I believe here we tapped into this high on ES. So now I'm looking for entry, right? I'm looking for the highest time frame fair value gap to be inverse, but we don't have that. We have a 3-minute fair value gap here, but we have a higher time frame fair value gap than that, which is this 4-minute, which as you can see was respected. And yeah, we react off of it. We also had news at 8 a.m. So yeah, I mean we never inversed the 4 minutes, so it didn't matter. But I also wasn't going to enter a trade right before news. News came out. We tapped into a 15-minute here, but it was not we didn't tap into the 5-minute. So I wasn't looking for longs. We didn't get long entry anyways, even if you were looking for continuation longs after that 15-minute fair value gap was tapped into. As you can see, we take out this SMT here, and then we close above these highs, which then told me we were going to continue higher, which we did. Continued higher. Remember, my next target is fully filling this volume gap, which is around here. and we didn't end up fully filling it technically on NQ, but we did on ES. So literally right here, we went up, we filled the volume gap actually here. We then took out this high right here. Not a super important high, but it is an external level, and it was the last swing high before the volume gap. And we took that out on ES and not NQ, as you can see. So we had that external SMT. We then came up and reswept this on ES. So this high came above this high. We have an internal SMT as well. So we had double SMT, which is kind of, I love to see that when I'm trading the bias model. If I want to see, if I mark out a level before market open and then it gets taken out on one external SMT, then that takeout gets reswept, which puts in an internal SMT. Then we have the highest time frame fair value gap of the current trading leg be inverse. That's like the bread and butter of the bias model. So we're looking for the highest time frame fair value gap of the current leg we're in to be inverse, and that is this 30-second, right? So we enter there, put our stop closely past this SMT because we don't want this to be taken out, and target the most recent 5-minute gap, which was this gap right here. And we had our break-even point set to here before we entered the trade, but as you can see, we kind of chopped around here, had to push back up, so we actually moved our break-even point to this internal low, but it doesn't matter, they were both taken out like within seconds of each other. So we went break-even here, and then as you can see, trade played out, and we had to push back up off this. We did go down lower, but if you had gone break-even at this point instead of taking out your profits, you would have gotten break-even on this trade. We did continue lower, like I said, but then we pushed back up. So regardless, this was the trade. Now the more important part and the more complicated part is, why exactly was I looking for shorts off of filling this volume gap? Well, the reason is because a lot of people think this is, oh, it's just a, like, people thought that was fucking gambling for some reason, or like a pattern, just a pattern trade, like, oh, just whatever, random ass inverse fair value gap. That's not true at all. If we look at the past, this one didn't get fully filled on ES, so this isn't the same. This was, I've just marked out from a class with my exclusive students the other day. I actually taught them volume gaps before, literally yesterday, last night. I taught them volume gaps last night, and now we took a play using volume gaps, which is super funny. So if we look at the last 5, or the last, I think, 4 plays, I think there wasn't one before that for a little bit. The last 4 plays where we have a volume gap being fully filled, and then the highest time frame fair value gap being inversed on the way out of it, we can see that here we have this 5-minute right here, which was not inversed. You could call this basically fully filling it, but we didn't inverse the highest time frame gap, as you can see here. We did, though, on this next candle, inversed it here. On this play specifically, unfortunately, it was a pretty small target. I think we were targeting this unmitigated 10-minute gap, which was also an unmitigated 5-minute, which had stacked equal lows, so super good target. As you can see, we obviously can't trade this, so we can't have our stop loss this wide because it's obviously an extremely negative play. So we want to see if we can have our stop loss above this 5-minute fair value gap, but as you can see, that actually is still a negative RR play. So when we have no other option, I do put my limit at the inversion. I prefer to just enter, but like, it's like, okay, if this plays out, I'm not going to take a negative RR trade, and if it goes up, if it retraces up, then I'm going to get filled, right? So as you can see, we get filled in the next candle, and trade plays out, and we reverse, but we did catch that trade regardless. Same trade, basically same trade idea that we took today. If we now go look at the next one before that, I think it was Sunday the 9th. Let me check. I posted all of the plays. Actually no, I think, no, sorry, it was the Sunday before this. I think on Tuesday. Let me just check my phone. See when it was. I thought I remembered it. Monday the 9th was the next one, that the next time that this situation presented itself, actually. So a little farther back than I expected, but then I remembered. Okay, cool. Yeah, here it is. So as you can see, we have this volume gap from new week opening, just like we did this time. New week opening gap. Once again, we essentially fully fill it here. So we're now looking for the highest time frame gap of this leg to be inversed. I think here was a 10-minute. Yep, the highest time frame gap was a 10-minute. So enter at the inversion, and we can target the most recent unmitigated gap, which was this 5-minute, which also has stacked highs, as you can see. All right, so there and here. Our break-even point on this trade would be this intermediate high resting within this 5-minute gap, and put our stop loss closely below the low. We don't want to see a resweep after the highest time frame gap is inversed. And as you can see, go break even there, and then the next candle, our target gets hit. Now our next one after that was, I believe, on the 4th. Yeah, it was like literally immediately after it was open. So we opened this new gap, we gap down, and as you can see, we fill it immediately. And our highest time frame gap, I think, was a 3-minute. Yeah, so we have this 3-minute here. That's the highest time frame gap that we're looking for to be inversed. We get that right there. Want to target maybe like a 10-minute or something. 5-minute. I think this one did end up being a break-even trade, if I remember correctly. Hypothetically, you'd want to, once again, we couldn't target these lows, because even if we put our stop loss or our entry at the inversion, super tight stop loss, it's still a negative trade. We have to find our next target, which was maybe these equal lows right here, this 3-minute here, and we just enter at the inversion and go break even at this low. And as you can see, we tap into this low, go break even, and comes up, and we get break even on the trade. So that one was a break even trade. Still no losses, but break even trade there. So that's what, 2 wins, 1 break even. And then our next one, or then, was this trade. You can see once again another new week opening gap. Fully fill it here. So we're looking for, we essentially fully fill it here. Like by the time that we've filled it this much, I will look for some sort of reaction to the downside. And as you can see, once it's this filled, so we get this 1-minute inverse, perfect inverse, stop loss tightly above this high, and I want this fucking open. Just target this low right here. Let's see if there's any other targets. Okay, that low is also, I think, turns into a 10-minute fair value gap. Holy shit, that's really annoying and loud. It's about to turn to a 10-minute fair value gap before this trade ends playing out. Yeah, so like so like by this close here, we have the 10-minute close. So we have this 10-minute fair value gap, and that would be our target if it wasn't before. And as you can see, trade plays out. So with the last 4 times, this was this up here, and we had, as you can see, we had 3 wins and 1 break even. So when we had the exact same setup present itself, essentially fully fill this volume gap here, with which also includes, which we didn't talk about in the other trades, a external SMT as well as a resweep at this level, and double SMT here. And then we had the highest time frame inversion to the downside. I'm 100% taking this, right? Like, it doesn't make sense not to. what is worse about this trade than the other trades that I just showed you? There's nothing. There's actually only things that are better. Everything is as good or better in this trade. So you enter. I don't know if I mentioned this, but my break-even point was set to here. As you can see, we didn't tap it. But once we had this push up and create this new high, we create these equal lows here. I set my new break-even point to here. So once we tapped it, it didn't really matter though because we took out both in like a matter of seconds. One break-even there and tapped it and reversed. That's the play I took today. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, join my community at dailotrading.com, and I would love to help you guys out. Peace out.